Hi everybody, and welcome to our very first video on macros for Excel. Um, in this video I'll explain what macros are for as they pertain to Excel and how to record a simple macro. So as far as what macros do, macros are a script written in Visual Basic for Applications, or VBA, that allows you to perform a set of actions in Excel. Now, in real simple terms, if you've got some data in Excel that you need to format or perform calculations on addition, subtraction, multiplication, or something more complex, you can do that via macro, and you can save that macro so that you can perform the same calculations and formatting on every time you run it at the click of a button, rather than having to go through the same actions every single time you need to perform them. So what I've done today is I'm going to show a real simple example on how to create a macro. And for our example, we're going to say that we own a jelly factory and we get a comma delimited form report every week that we want to make look nice so we can send to all our executives and make them happy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy my text file, which just has our date and jelly type and the amount of jelly orders we received for that day, and I'm going to copy that into my Excel file. So it looks pretty much the same as it did in our text file, with the exception that you can see it here in Excel now with the row and column headers. You can see we've got the date, the jelly type, and then the quantity, and they are separated by a comma. So our first thing that we're going to want to do is split this out so that in column A we have a date, column B we have the jelly type, and in column C we have the quantity, and then maybe we'll add some column headers here, something that says date, type, and quantity, something just very simple, and then maybe some formatting. The first thing you're going to want to do before you start recording a macro is go ahead and save your file. So we're going to go to the File menu and then Save As. Choose your folder that you're going to record it, or choose your folder you're going to save it in, and you're going to want to give it a name and then save it as the type Excel Macro Enabled Workbook. I'm not going to hit save because I've already saved this file. I've already created it. I'm going to call my file Report, and then you're going to click Save. So once you've done that, in order to record or work with macros, you do have to be in a macro-enabled workbook. Excel lets you work with them in other workbook types, but when you go to save, it forces you to save it. And that just gives it the file type of XLSM as opposed to XLSX or XLSB, depending on what type of file your original file is. In order to start recording the macro, you're going to click on the View menu, which will open up the ribbon. And on the far right, you can see there's a macro button here that has two parts to it. If you click on the top one, you can see this is your list of macros that are in this file. We haven't created it yet, so obviously it's still empty. We'll come back to that in a minute. And in the bottom, you've got this little drop down. The option that we're going to choose first is to record a macro. As soon as you click that, it's going to ask you for a name, and we're going to call our macro Format Report. You can also give it a shortcut key, which is fine. I'm not going to do for this example, but if you wanted to make it, Control W or something else, you would be able to access this macro every time you hit Control W on the keyboard. The only thing that I want to caution about that is if you use, like Control C or Control V, you will override your copy and paste commands or any of the other default commands like Control A, Control X. There's a whole list of them out there. You can look them up on the wonderful internet. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. I'm not going again to put any shortcut in there, and I'm not going to, you can type a little description down here. We can just type something like format the report, let's say format our weekly report. So go ahead and hit OK. And now the recording has actually started, even though there's no indicator on the screen. The first thing that I said we wanted to do was take our data and make it so it's in 3 columns. So we're going to click on column A by clicking on the actual A up here and select the entire column. And we're going to go to the text to columns function, which is under the data tab. and then right here text to columns. We're going to choose delimited because our data is comma delimited, and click next, choose comma, and you can see that put the separators in here. If I uncheck it, in place of the commas, and made everything look a little bit nicer. And then we can go ahead and hit finish since there's nothing else we need to do there. You can see that it actually took our data, and now instead of just having data in column A, we've got our date in column A, our jelly type in column B, and our quantity in column C. The next thing we want to do is click on the first row, and we're going to insert a row so that we can add some column headers here. And we'll call our first one date, call our second one jelly type, and we will call our third one quantity. And if I could spell quantity correctly, that would be wonderful. Once that's done, let's go ahead. I always like when I'm making a report to give the column headers a nice light gray shading behind them, and then I like to bold them also. For bold, you can also use Control B. Just click the bold button there on the under home. And then let's go ahead and also format this by giving our cells some borders, some outlines so that they look nice. And then we'll take the whole thing and auto fit it. Not sure what's going on there. Alright, we'll do it this way. There we go. Usually you can just click on the little lines between. I don't know why mine wasn't behaving there. Maybe I wasn't clicking on it exactly where it wanted me to. So here's our finished report. You can see we've now got column headers, got everything separated into columns. Looks very nice, should make our executives happy, and here on the 29th they should be really happy because we got a whole bunch of orders for grape jelly, more than any other day it looks like. So we'll go ahead, we'll save our file. And then we're going to go ahead and hit view. We're going to go to macros, and we're going to stop recording. That will end the recording for this macro. And what that'll allow us to do is come back and run the same macro. All of those commands that we just did manually, we'll be able to do in an automated fashion. So let me go ahead and clear this out. And in order to do that, I'm actually going to have to set our text to columns back to non-comma delimited. So I'm going to come back in here and hit comma and then finish. That'll just kind of reset everything for the example purpose so I can show you how the macro works. Let's delete all of our data, and I'm going to come back over here and grab our report and put it back in. You can see it looks like it did in its original format. And to run the macro, we're going to go ahead and click on view, and then we can click on this top macro button, and you'll see our macro we created there called Format Report. And we're going to click Run, and you're going to watch the magic of the formatting and everything take place, and we end up with a completed report at the end. So here we go. And as you can see, very quickly, in about a second's time, it did what it took me several minutes to do before. But as you can imagine, if you do that on a daily basis or a weekly basis, that will save you a lot of time, and you can free up that time to work on other things. So that concludes our first macro video. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to my channel Hiking Stick, and thank you very much.